Hey everybody, Laura Eisenhower here. I wanted to do just a short video and draw some attention to the fact that there's some very important mass meditations going on this weekend. Today was a lunar eclipse, January 10th, in the sign of Cancer. And there's so much surrounding this because we've been in this eclipse gateway starting December 26th, where we had the solar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. A lot of planets are in Capricorn. There's a lot of attention on the Capricorn energy, and with Saturn conjunct Pluto on Sunday, it's even of a greater significance. So Saturn and Pluto form conjunctions about every 35 to 37 years. And so that happens about once or twice in our lifetime. But this is even more rare because it's connected to the eclipse energy, and with all the planets in conjunction in Capricorn, we are really addressing a lot of dark cycles of history and what our experiences have been with that, and even this incarnation. Saturn relates to outer authority, and we know that a lot of outer authority that we've experienced in multiple lifetimes has been very corrupt. So that comes from rules and structure, school systems, religions, politics, the way we were raised, and it's very evident and very obvious that not all of that has been pleasant. It's certainly not connected to cosmic and natural laws. Some are, it depends on the individual, but when it comes to what we're seeing in our society, it really does not promote our connection with our higher self. It's not really looking out for our greater development. And so this is what's shifting right now. This is what this actual gateway represents. If we really had a system that was supporting our growth, I don't think we would see so many distortions connected to the masculine and feminine, and connected to our own greater abilities and sovereignty and connection to the earth, and clean and good food. And I mean, obviously the elements have been clearly polluted, and toxicity is very prevalent everywhere. So we have to know that we're made of these elements. Our DNA, the nucleic acids in our DNA, are connected to the elements. And with the presence of the ether now, since the sun started to move through the 13th sign in 2010, this shift time really represents our ability to get out of the trappings of, symbolically, that inverted pentagram that really mind controlled us or socially engineered us into thinking that physicality is a domain that holds rulership over who we are. And to a certain degree it has, and we haven't been able to really help that. And now everything's changing. When we look at our past history, there's been a lot of world wars, there's been a lot of epidemics, there's been a lot of genocide and many holocausts. So was that anything that any of us wanted? No. That's why it's been false and corrupt. And there's a lot about the Saturn-Moon Matrix too to consider, which I'm not going to get into right now. I'm actually going to post an interview I just did with Todd Medina that is going to delve into these subjects more. But this is a time of clearing those distortions, and it takes a lot of inner work to be able to really step up to the plate. And so mass meditations give us the opportunity to unite our hearts and minds and hold a space for these higher energies to come through. The most initiatory planets are involved, which is what is helping to shift this Saturn-Moon matrix, and how that's impacted us. When I say matrix, I'm talking about the control system we've all been born into, and just the dumbing down of our DNA, and how seals and frequency fences have been put in our DNA, not allowing us access to what is called junk DNA, which is actually not junk. And so Saturn and the rings have an artificial component connected to AI, which impacts the moon, which has an artificial component. And so these initiatory planets are helping us to reach a higher octave, to begin to offset those interferences, and how that has really shaped this, I guess you could say, false reality, not as in false, like it's an illusion. We have felt it. We felt the pain. We feel the wounds. We feel the traumas, but false as in this is not who we truly are. And we are not limited to this. And we're dealing with beautiful aspects with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, and Uranus, which connects us with synchronicities and our higher mind, and epiphanies, authenticity, unity consciousness, and our ability to really be true to ourselves, which is a prerequisite for being able to really come together in community. If we're not really true to who we are, then if we join community, what if we're just following some leader or guru or somebody who's going to misuse power. So really, really high vibrations are coming in, or are like here, that hold a link to our higher mind, Jupiter and Uranus in harmonious aspects. And because the signs and planets connect with our organs, connect with our nervous system, connect with our glands, we're going to feel a lot of symptoms. And so sometimes we might see things as outside of us and we're just experiencing it. But this is something that is completely and totally an inward process that, ascension symptoms are what that's all about. Why people talk about ascension symptoms is that as we go through these upgrades and transformative experiences, we're going to run into some walls, because the old Saturn energy, put in blocks and prevented us from being able to integrate these sort of things. And so everybody's responding to it in their own way. Definitely be very gentle with yourself and realize that no matter how difficult these symptoms are, it's taking you towards personal liberation. It's not encouraging you to adopt a belief system that's foreign to you. It's helping you to be more of who you really are. And a lot is wanting to come to the surface and be purged, because the solar eclipse in Capricorn, pulling us into the South Node, still has a lot of planets next to it. And so Sunday is when the mass meditation is taking place, so that we can direct these energies and harness these creative powers and move them forward with the intention to connect into the higher mind that Uranus and Jupiter represents. And there's so much more to it than just that. And that's why I'm not going to go too much into it, but I at least want to plant some seeds about how significant this is. We also have Neptune making a harmonious aspect, and that's going to help us to be in a higher octave of the lunar energy. As we know, it's got an artificial component. Maybe not everybody knows that, but it does. And Saturn dealing with Pluto is actually, some astronomers and scientists have said it's actually dissolving the rings. Maybe they don't see that it's Pluto directly, but that's the kind of power that Pluto has: death, rebirth, alchemy, and transformation. So we're completely resetting the way we relate to the law of structure. And it's really important that we determine what rules, what limitations do we want that we can decide on our own terms. It might be some regimen that has to do with exercise or good food, or certain addictions we might want to drop. It might relate to different things that we know our body needs in order to thrive. Whereas the limitations of the previous cycle, where Saturn held much more of a dark space, put a lot of energy blocks in our space, made us feel controlled, made us feel like we had to answer to a system and play into its reward system, which is really in that duality of, are we failures? Are we successes? Are we able to play the game? Or are we just not able to play the game? And who are we serving when we do play the game? So there's a lot of facades and a lot of layers behind those facades that are coming out right now. A lot of crimes against humanity are being exposed. A lot of recognition of certain secrecies that have been held connected to UFOs, ETs, secret space programs, and a lot of disinformation to have to sift through to even know if what's coming to the surface is authentic. So this is allowing us to prepare our vessel for being able to see the difference between fact and fiction, the difference between deception and truth. And so it's really important to join together in this mass meditation, because it'll give us the opportunity to be in stillness, to be in our breath, to be in our divine center, and to allow these powerful planetary energies to work their magic with us, which means that the result is we're able to navigate this human realm with a lot more clarity and discernment, because we're going to continue to be, thrown stuff that can easily confuse us. So I know it gets all complex with the astrological terminologies, but I do have a podcast that you can subscribe to, and I can work with your chart. I do, mini readings, and I can set up longer readings, but there's only so much I can do, obviously, but there is a calendar, and there is the possibility of setting up longer sessions depending on my schedule. But the biggest reason for the subscription is the podcast that I do and the weekly newsletters. I try and do them weekly, and that will at least keep you in touch with, what's going on. If there's specific questions, I will do my best to try and, answer any questions. And if you're able to get a slot on the calendar, awesome. But I have to just, also give referrals if I'm not able to connect with everybody. And that's also what I offer, is helping to introduce you to people that can also give you guidance and support during this time. But the great thing about this subscription is it also helps me to help some victims of child trafficking. And I'm setting up some things with those that have been abused by Epstein, and, secret space programs and world leaders that you'd be surprised to even know were connected with this kind of stuff. And I have to fund a lot of it. And so it's just incredibly supportive to me to have people subscribe to help me to continue to be in service to humanity and to really expose, these dark agendas and horrific abuses. Because this is the time that we're going to rise out of it. And these planetary alignments are really, really helping us to do this. It can be very, very difficult to process everything that we're seeing in the world. We got these Australia fires, we got stuff going on with Iran. We see sort of some interesting disclosures, even in Hollywood, that everybody's probably processing in a different way. But the biggest thing that I can warn against is don't continue to give your power away. We have to sit through that discomfort. We have to go into that dark night of the soul. We have to be willing to look at where we've made agreements or contracts with some of these things. And if we're starting to feel the symptoms, that we just don't go run off and drug ourselves from a doctor, or dumb ourselves down with like pharmaceuticals. And it's okay if people are feeling the need for them on a temporary basis, but really it's interfering with a powerful initiation. Initiations are not pleasant. They can cause, a major purging. I mean, we see that with the food we eat. When if it's not been the best food, and we put negative substances in our body, when we want to detox, we go through a healing crisis. So right now we're going into a healing crisis as far as our creative energies, what it's attached itself to, our belief systems, ancestral patterns, societal programmings, mind control, social engineering, and all that kind of stuff. So I have a much more detailed interview that I'd rather have everybody listen to than me almost repeat some of the things that I said. But it's hard not to, just want to put something out here right now to encourage people to attend these mass meditations. Mine is on Sunday. It starts at 9 Central, and people can figure out the rest. Yes. Okay. 9 Central would be, 10 Eastern, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific. And there's a lot of different speakers, and we're not speaking for very long because it's really geared towards doing this meditation. And the people that are also going to be attending that are James Gilliland, Dr. Michael Sala, Tricia McCannon, Corey Good, Ben Carroll, Sound Healing, and the platforms of Stillness in the Storm with Justin Deschamps, and Portal to Ascension with Neil Gar. And then we also have Simon Essler and Tricia Margus. And I will give information in the description below, and also what Prepare for Change is up to. So even if you don't completely and totally understand all the astrological stuff I shared, if you're able to subscribe to my channel, I can send a detailed report. If you sign up for the meditations, I'll just send you a newsletter. But if I get too many emails, it might be impossible to manage. So just know that the interview I'm posting next is going to give you a clear enough idea. But if you wanted to become a subscriber or sign up for the event and I'm able to get it to you, it's worth a try. I can't guarantee anything because once something comes out on YouTube, I don't feel very comfortable sharing my personal information. So I would look into, doing the subscription. And if, it's really important for you to have, the newsletter, I would just, listen to the interview that I'm going to be posting tomorrow, because that's going to give you enough. I just wouldn't be able to handle, too many numbers. So anyway, trust yourself and allow your own ego to step out of the way a little bit. You're going through a massive reset, and we don't ever have to get rid of ego, but at least it needs to reset itself so that it, looks towards the higher self, looks towards the soul, looks towards these cosmic and earthly events that are happening. The earth and cosmos are encoded to ascend us into higher earth energies. And this matrix overlay is geared towards distracting us, interfering, and siphoning and stealing and harvesting our energy. So make sure you take out the time for yourself to really get grounded and be in your breath. Do something creative, you know, hang out in nature, and join us on these, you know, on these important mass meditations, because the more we come together and have focused intention, the more accelerated this is all going to, you know, become. And it's going to raise the vibration of the planet. And in doing that, it helps to purge out and expel the parasitic forces, the dark agendas, and the toxicity. It can help to transmute that toxicity, because Pluto is all about death, rebirth, alchemy, transformation. So no matter how many like weird things come to your mind or symptoms that you might experience, just keep breathing through it and just know that that's not the destination. Once you get through it and get to the other side of it, you're going to feel completely like a new person. And the best part of it is it's going to be your true self, your true authentic self. You don't have to believe anything else but just in your dreams and visions. But the most important thing is that we can all agree to devote to integrity and hold mutual love and respect for each other. We're not all going to, you know, think the same. We're going to have differences of opinion, but just remember, these agendas seek to conquer and divide us, and it's not worth it. You know, just really know that the priority right now is love, and letting our wounds and pain and traumas from the past give us some wisdom so that we can, you know, shield ourselves, guard ourselves, even though those things weren't our fault and we are very, very vulnerable. Now we have enough to go on to know a lot more now, and we can really support one another and hold each other's hands and pass that wisdom on so that we can protect one another. So if anybody's been through it, you know, gone through hell and back, these are the light warriors, and we're going to empower them to have more of a voice so that we can prevent any more of these level of abuses like child trafficking and pedophilia and my labs and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of really, really strong souls have gone through that to bring us this message, and they need to be taken seriously, because we need to protect future generations. We need to protect the people that are struggling with it right now, and give them an outlet, give them, you know, give them a place to go and a place to feel safe. And so hopefully people will help to support some of the visions that we have in creating healing centers and, you know, helping people to not be silent and struggling and suffering in silence. And we need to be brave enough to listen to what they have to share and open up our hearts to them. And this is how we can all heal and rehabilitate as a humanity. Thank you everybody so much for listening. And I hope you're going to come to the mass meditation. I'll put everything in the description and how to subscribe to my my podcast. Okay, take care, everybody. Good night.